Welcome to the channel. This is a place for all kinds of stories. I'll do my best to bring each story to life, describing every detail so you can truly feel like you were there in the moment. Today's story is different. It's been carefully checked, and everything about it is presented in a way that feels real, grounded, and deeply convincing. If you've ever questioned the paranormal, this is one of those stories that might make you stop and believe. And if you enjoy this kind of content and want to hear more stories like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. I was about 8 years old when this happened. My brother is 2 years older than me, and we were both friends with brothers of the same age from another family. They also had a significantly older brother, although he had a car and a license, so he was rarely ever around. We spent a lot of time out at their family farm growing up. This particular day, we were spending the night. My brother and his friend decided they wanted to stay downstairs in sleeping bags while my buddy and I got the bedroom upstairs with the bunk beds. We stayed up well past midnight, talking and laughing about nothing at all, just having fun, until the whispers and quiet laughter were cut off by another noise. I had heard it for a couple minutes before saying anything, but when it refused to stop, I finally spoke up. "Do you hear that?" I asked my friend, practically cutting him off mid-sentence. "The footsteps?" he replied. Confirmation that he had been hearing it too. Someone was walking up and down the hall just outside our bedroom door. We were the only ones on the top floor, and you could see the hallway was pitch black from the gap beneath the door. I asked if his older brother had maybe come home, knowing his room was the only other bedroom upstairs. My friend assured me he wasn't coming home that night. The footsteps continued. I decided to check it out, now wondering if it was our older brothers planning a prank on us. I quietly shifted over to the door, silently twisting the handle. I waited until the footsteps had passed the door, cracking it open just enough to see the backside of whoever was out there without them seeing me. I looked through the seam of the door and its frame. I saw an empty hallway. The footsteps stopped immediately. No one was there. There was no time, no place for anyone to hide. As my mind struggled for an explanation, I convinced myself it had to be my brother. I don't know how he managed to hide, but he had to be down that hall. This had to be a prank. My friend was hesitant to investigate further, but I told him I just wanted to peek into the living room to see if our brothers were there. If not, odds are that's who we heard in the hall. Besides, the direction of the stairs was in the opposite direction we had last heard the footsteps. We'd be walking away from them. With him on board, we headed for the stairs. The staircase turned left in a 90-degree angle, maybe 5 steps to a small landing, then 10 to 12 more to the bottom. A small window let in some moonlight, but it faced away from the final descent. Once on the landing, we stared down into an increasingly dark stretch to the living room. I went first, slow but keeping a pace moving forward. I still had the idea that someone else was behind us upstairs. Nearing the bottom, my eyes struggled to adjust to the dark. My foot touched the last step. In that same instant, something ran directly in front of me. I didn't see anything, but it was so close I felt the air rush past as it ran from left to right. That close, I should have seen something. An outline, a figure, some sort of mass directly in front of me. There was nothing. The shock, amplified by already being on high alert, was enough to send me stumbling backwards into my friend. We both fell back on the stairs, adrenaline at an all-time high. Whatever that was, I could feel its presence as it passed, like when someone is standing behind you. It was taller than me, although, being a kid, most people were at the time. We stayed still, silent, listening for whatever came next. Nothing. He had had enough. As he took a step up the stairs, I told him I was going to at least peek out into the living room. He made his way back to the room as I grabbed the handrail in the stairway. Without leaving the imaginary safety of the staircase, I leaned myself out into the living room. To my left, I saw my brother and his buddy still asleep in their sleeping bags. Whatever had run in front of us had been in there with them. Not taking the time to process this, I continued to scan the rest of the main floor. To the right was the kitchen, with a fairly large window going out into the yard. I could see the driveway, well lit from a nearby yard light. I froze. My grip tightened on the railing. Someone was walking down the driveway, into the property. It was an older man, late 40s, maybe 50. He wore coveralls with visible patches. His shoes looked old and very worn. A thin denim-looking jacket also showed signs of stress. Topped off with an equally worn hat, an old style I had never seen someone wear before. He was carrying a large burlap sack over his shoulder. It, too, had a patch sewn on its side. All of this was overshadowed by the most bizarre detail of all. Everything about him, his clothes, hat, skin, and even the sack he was carrying was a soft, glowing gray color. I stared as he walked down the driveway. My mind was empty. I simply couldn't process this. I was locked in a trance. I had seen a ghost. I bolted back upstairs, my friend already back in his bunk. I explained what I had seen. Whether it was the look on my face or the tremble in my voice, I could see he had no problem believing me. Silence and tension replaced our previous light-hearted whispers and laughs. Somehow, we eventually fell asleep. The next morning, we didn't say anything. No one would believe it, especially coming from the younger brothers. Besides, I wasn't ready to have that conversation with anyone. We all sat in the living room, watching TV, before our day got started. Their mom entered the room behind us. This woman was one of the nicest I've ever met. Patient, and always wearing a genuine smile. This was the only time that smile was absent. She looked pale and extremely tired. Her eyes were dark with bags below them. She didn't look at any of us, just stared past us across the room. "Did any of you see someone walking around last night?" Her question seemed like it was meant for no one. We all stared. I was so caught off guard by her demeanor that I didn't even connect her question to the events the night before. We all just shook our heads, indicating we hadn't. Without another word, she turned around and went back into her room. Immediately after, I realized what she had really asked, and the pieces started to click. I never told her. I never told anyone. My friend and I didn't discuss it again for nearly 2 decades, and even that conversation was brief. As of this writing, I still haven't told my brother. I didn't know it at the time, but this was my introduction into the paranormal. It would be followed by numerous events throughout my life that would open my mind to unbelievable possibilities. Impossible things you only hear in stories or see in movies. Things you don't talk about with most, but still live in the core of your mind. Things that after nearly 3 decades still make my heart beat a little faster.